Good morning, students. Today I am going to start chapter 1 of psychology. Chapter 1 is variations in psychological attributes. If you observe your friends, classmates, or relatives, you will find how they differ from each other in the manner they perceive, learn, and think, as also in their performance on various tasks. Such individual differences can be noticed in every walk of life. We also need to know how people differ, what brings about these differences, and how such differences can be assessed. This chapter will introduce you to the same of the fundamentals of individual differences and psychological attributes. Now, individual differences in human functioning. Individual variations are common within and across all species. Variations in color, beauty, to nature. For a moment, think of a world around you where each and every object is of the same color, say red or blue or green. How would the world appear to you? Certainly not a beautiful one. Would you prefer to live in such world? In all likelihood, your answer will be no. Like objects, people too possesses different combination of traits. Variability is a fact of nature and individuals are no exceptions to this. They vary in terms of physical characteristics such as height, weight, strength, hair color and so on. They also vary among psychological dimensions. They may be intelligent or dull, dominant or submissive, creative or not so creative, outgoing or withdrawn. This question which you may like to pose is how and why people differ. This in fact is the subject matter of the study of individual differences. For psychologists, individual differences refer to distinctiveness and variations among people's characteristics and behavior patterns. Now, approaches in psychological functioning. First is trait approach. When personal trait goes in behavior, that is trait approach. Second one is situationism, that is a view which states that situation and circumstances in which one is placed to influence one's behavior. Like a person who is generally aggressive may behave in submissive manner in the presence of his or her top boss. So we can say we behave according to the situation. Situationist perspective is the third one, views human behavior relatively more as a result of influence of external factor than personality traits. Now, next is assessment. Assessment of psychological attributes. Assessment is the first step in understanding a psychological attribute. Assessment refers to the measurement of psychological attributes of individuals and their evaluation. Any attribute can said to be exist in a person only if it can be measured by using scientific procedures. For example, when we say Harish is dominant, we are referring to the degree of dominance in him. Our assessment may be formal or informal. Formal assessment is objective, standardized and organized. In the other hand, informal assessment varies from each to each and from one assessor to another. Psychologists are trained in making formal assessment of psychological attributes. Now, attributes. Attributes chosen for assessment depend upon the purpose. Example, improvement of a weak student intellectual strengths and weaknesses are measured. An attribute will said to be exist in a person only if it can be measured by using scientific procedures. Psychological attributes are not linear or unidimensional. They are complex and expressed in terms of dimensions. A line is a mere aggregate of many points. A point occupies no space. But think of a box. It occupies space. It can be described only in terms of its three dimensions like length, width, height. Similar is the case with psychological attributes. They are usually multidimensional. If you want to have a complete assessment of a person, you will need to assess how he or she functions various domains or areas such as cognitive, emotional, social, etc. We will discuss in this chapter some important attributes that are of interest to psychologists. These attributes are categorized on the basis of varieties of tests used in psychological literature. That is, these are intelligence, aptitude, personality, interest, values. So, tomorrow we will discuss these attributes in detail.